Tiers, wingers, 70 plus players. We're giving you the meta. Beautiful people, what's happening? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Can I get a hashtag organics? I feel that my eyes looking a little active, shall we say. If you're new, it's free to subscribe, and please feed the algorithm. Drop a like on the video because we have so many players to go through. This is coming in quick fire. I need your opinions in the comment section. Number one, which wingers are you using currently? And number two, what are your thoughts on some of these placements? We got endgame, god tier, top tier, mid tier, and don't go anywhere. At the end, there might be some adjusting. Pretty normal. Let's begin. Tried to take meta players. If your winger's not here, ask me in the comment section. No big deal. Adama Traore. Top tier is where I'm starting. Could even be in the mids. I'm just saying. Call a spade and a heart a heart. Don't see him in the rotational nearly as much. Fadi is a hard player to place at the moment because I have a lot of love for Fadi. And he's got to be above Traore. I'm feeling generous. Here he goes. Anthony. Top tier. I like it. Bamba going to the middies. I use this item and I'm a fan. Mo Bamba, Yo Bamba. We're not talking Bambi. That's a cartoon for you gentlemen that did not receive that experience in your upbringing. Classics. Beckham. See, this item here, not a traditional winger. If anything, you're playing him as a center mid, but this is his default positioning. Maybe I should mention that all of these players will be wingers. Left wing, right wing, left mid, right mid. There might even be a left forward or a right forward. Georgie Best, I got a lot of love for. I think he's dope. Solid, solid, solid. Might be endgame. I love that 90 rated George Best as well. Many of you have him from an SBC. The guy gets busy. Frequent customer, frequent flyer, difference maker. I just feel like I'm building him up to be a little bit higher than where he's actually at. I'm going to bump him to endgame. That's just what's happened. Diaz, maybe a little controversial, but he's heading to the top tier. My guy Brian, I think he's going to join him. And there's no disrespect or wrongdoing in the top tier. You got to think about this. Endgame means you never have to replace that player. Done, dusted, positional, one of the best, if not the best in the game. God tier, beyond qualified. Absolutely spectacular. Top tier, still weekend league or division rivals ready. Mid tier, yeah, it gets a little more debatable. Carrasco has all the stats, but something's missing with ability. I'm throwing him into the middies just in the direction that we're going at the moment. I don't think that he lines up nearly as well versus that top section. I could have had a fifth if you really wanted to digest or deflect or segregate or add an additional allocation to statistical stuffing. Those were so many different words. I don't know if it came out smooth or not. Chiesa, I got love for him. Top tier it is. Chong is an interesting item. I don't know that I really want to put him into the mid. He's put in too much work for me, but he's kind of an unusual winger. I always found myself using him more as a center mid and getting better value in that position as he kind of sprints forward. He's got that gallop. And for that reason, if you can tell, I watch Shark Tank. We're putting him into the top tier. Doku, middies. Joe Cole, also gotta be middies. Early on this year would have been different, but at the current build, where we stand at the moment, Joe Cole's no longer going to be that impactful. Tecatito, Jesus, seriously, God tier all day, every day. Maybe the most overpowered player. Definitely in the running, most overpowered winger. Put this guy in a marathon. Damsgaard, I like him. Placement, top tier. Danjuma, I think he's underrated. And for that reason, I'm also going to have him in the top tier. Maybe that's going to be our section that really stands out. We have so many players. I'm just looking at this. Here we go to Brazil with love. Top tier still seems right. Diaz, I like him. Do I love him? Remember, at the end of the video, we will have movement. I'm tempted with Diaz to bump him into the God. I am very tempted. And that's the problem with Dembele, too. Dembele normally would be here, but I don't know that his 86 is still having that level of relevance, that level of deliverables. I don't know that he's showing up on time the same way. But for now, I'm kind of giving him that overpowered nod, the same that I did with Jesus next door to him. Di Maria. I don't think he'd be top tier. There's too many options. There's too much depth, and you're limited with the footwork. Diogo Jota. Big fan of this foot item, but I'm just being very particular with God tier at the moment. Apparently, I did 2 Dokus, so we're just gonna leave Doku and Doku. We already have one of those. It's interesting with Alanga, you know, it's like, the guy is so damn overpowered. The way I'm looking at this, I'd rather have him than the mid-tier options. I would rather have him compared to these guys. Is it a stretch to put a silver there? Perhaps. Felipe Anderson, absolute monster, been putting in work for me. Freaking work. But that's where he's gonna be at the moment. Again, movement, end of video for sure. I want a review. Torres, feel as if he should get that God tier calling. A lot of you love him. Some of you don't. There's some debate. Phil Foden, in form. I really like this item, but I wouldn't feel right putting him into the top tier considering he has multiple items that are now better. So he's not obsolete with the 87 overall, but it's not the same. Garincha, George Best, endgame. Garincha's nasty. Martins, top tier. I still think that's probably the placement. You might be moving him into the mids now at this point of the game, but he's been one of those guys that added additional links and definitely frustrated people for a good period of FIFA 22, and I don't want to discredit. Ginola, you love him in the God, but he's got to end up end game at this moment. He's still with the 5-5. All the pros are still using him. I can't believe it because it's been 6 months into the calendar year, and he's still at that level where you have to say he's special. Surge, I like him. I don't know if you're gonna love him. Kind of a particular player, mainly because of him not necessarily having that sprint speed, but touches are clean, they're crispy. Maybe I'm just a fanboy. Brand new addition, Jackie Boy. Oof, I'm leaning this way. I'm leaning to the God tier. Is it a reach? Maybe. Hazard still puts in so much work for me. I'm gonna have him in the God, and it could go down, perhaps. Henry, just for his status, he's gonna be in the top tier, but for our expectation, we want more. Insigne next door. Jesus, and we're not dealing with the mainstreamer Jesus. We're talking about this little pink option. Was used quite frequently early on, though. Again, has better items if you're going in a different direction. Kulusevski, it's not the return of the fullbacks originally where he kind of got his hype. Still going to be in the middies. Chucky Lozano with the burner. Are we going to give him that much credit via that burner? It looks like I am. Lucas Vasquez, I don't see in rotations nearly enough. You would be playing him, though, in a different position. Maybe a fullback or a center mid or a holding mid. He's got a lot of stats, but he's just not traditional when it comes to a winger. Luis Figo, I kind of want to put him into the top. He's always missing something, but he has so many stats. I'm gonna just let him squeeze into the God, but this is almost an in-betweener. That's a debatable. Money Mahrez, I got so much love for him, and this is my list. I hope that he's able to get some additional upgrade even from this point. If he gets up to 93, 94, it's gonna get reckless. Mane, another underrated, underappreciated, credit not given to him, God tier player. Brand new SBC, no sir, I don't want you. We're not going to England for this. Overpriced at that. Mbappe, this is not the same type of Mbappe, and for that reason, I don't think that I can really even put him into the top tier, which is wild saying. Blues Clues, Messi, team of the year, yes sir. 98 overall, spectacular. Highly rated, highly regarded, one of the best players in the game. I would argue at the moment, maybe the most valuable winger as well. Nedved, I went with the 86. If you don't know my rule with the icons, I try to take one of an iteration or a variation unless there's some massive difference between some of these players. I like the baby, and as he upgrades, he gets a little bit slower even if other stats go up, and it does limit you for dynamic capability. You need that explosiveness. Speaking of, we do have 2 Neymars who are both getting busy in the God tier. There's a preference involved here. There's also a price point difference, significant. I just don't think they're going to be quite end game. I think we're still going to get another upgrade. If you want to argue for them being end game, I understand. And Kunku, I got a lot of love for him, but I would still play him as a center mid of some sorts. JJ's probably going to go to the middies, and that's still the item of choice with JJ. Overmars, another player that needs more respect on his name, will go into the top tier. That top tier is filling up quickly. Pedro was good early on, but at this point we could do better. Pires, this is still the best version. I might be putting it as a stretch to get him into the top tier. No exaggeration. He's just one of those players that kind of under-delivers. Politano, he's done enough for me. This man's done a lot of construction work. Here we go. Pulisic, American. We're just having that American bias. I actually And I feel bad admitting this. I might have inserted him into an SBC, and now I need him for a squad too. Maybe that should say something different, but we're putting our bias to the side. Or no, we're putting our, we're putting our bias to the forefront. Raphael, a lot of you really enjoyed using this item again. Top tier. There's some sort of separation. I got to stay strong into that. Even Rashford, he's not what he once was. I don't care if it's the ice or the fire. I'm not sure that he's moving into this category or not. Rodrigo, let's go. Top tier. Dino, Ronaldinho, come on, put some serious respect with this main man. One of the most influential and most recognizable figures of all time in football. At the top we go. Saka, still kind of an odd item to use. Another one of those players that isn't good enough to be a winger at a high tier or an attacking player. So you have to play him out of position as maybe a fullback or a center mid again. And I'm not sure that he really qualifies to go push beyond. By the way, on a side note, you should like this video if you feel that we need promo players in rewards. Not all these team of the week guys. Salah. Oh, Salah gets busy. Is he endgame? Is going to be your question mark. I love Salah this year. Half the time I know what he's going to do, similar to Messi, and I can't stop him. So I'm going to leave him in that endgame, and I feel pretty strongly about it. A little stamp of approval. I hope there was a stamp graphic that came up. Sancho, I wish that he was more meta. I met him once, very briefly. Seemed like a nice guy. Side note and unrelated, and maybe a slight flex. Sané! Top tier. This Schweinsteiger is an odd item too. There's so many stats in so many great places. He wouldn't be a traditional winger, but I do think that he is a god tier center mid or holding mid. A little bit of a unusual or not maybe as ideal body type. That man is thick with 2 C's or 3 C's, but this is what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. Shaqiri, brand new, into the mixeroo. Is he going into the middies, or are we giving him a light upgrade? I think it seems more fitting room. Put him in the top tier. Sonaldo, not quite, but still to the top we go. I could do this box as well. What's up? Raheem, the dream. Oh man, I think he's got to go up for me. I truly do not enjoy this matchup. The guy's got the burner, there's no denying that. Scores a lot of big goals too, can cut inside, got that unique running style. Stoichkov needs more respect, and it's just a question of, does he inch into the god tier, or does he need to be in that top tier? It's difficult. Vinicius will go into a god tier, but there's no way he's endgame for me. As special as he may be, and his expressive flair, that Brazilian characteristic, outspoken, viable, flavorful, I can keep inserting superlatives. I have trouble converting at the consistency level that is necessary to really put him endgame. To remain, Zaha, gotta be top tier. A player that I believe you will, if you got a chance to use him, or you did enjoy using. There's a definite value there. And Ziyech is an interesting item. He reminds me of the Robin throwback. Robin. And as much fun as he is to use, I don't know that I can justify that god tier position. And you might disagree, and that's what makes this so beautiful. We have a full comment section. Let's review together. Make sure to let me know how you feel as we're making these final adjustments. Mid tier, I'm doing a quick recap. I still feel Traore is in the right placement. I'm not sure who would actually move from this mid tier. It's kind of straightforward. It's going to come down more to the top tier and where players should potentially go up or potentially go down. Beckham, without getting a 4-star skill situation or 4-star weak foot, still tells me this is the location. A couple of you might argue for Brian or Diaz. Maybe not the most hyped players, but there's a lot of stats that align proper. And this year's title, I'm tempted with Diaz. He walks a thin line. The same with Jota. 2 Liverpool options that could be, maybe should be, they're kind of on the cusp. Even Felipe Anderson, the work that he's put in individually for the mediocre Cloud FC club progression, costs next to nothing. Rashford is another player that kind of stands out as someone that perhaps you could argue on behalf of. Same with Ziyech. When I look at the god tier though, Fati is a special player for me, and it is my list at the end of the day. Dembele's a little debatable with a statement of, has the game passed him up? Maybe Jackie Boy needs to go down, but I feel if we move Jackie down, someone gotta move up. That's gotta be a pure exchange. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and bring Rashford. We're going to bring Jackie down. Rashford still having those skill moves, the body type, very Cristiano-esque in many regards, but I don't feel this is his best year. Plain and simple, straightforward. Greek yogurt without any additional flavoring. Hazard has been that guy for me. I was fortunate enough to pack him, and that item still gets a lot of playthrough. Torres is kind of on the... I know so many people that stand by him. The Money Mahrez is a Mike bias for sure. Mane deserves this level of respect. Into the middies. I like Sterling, Stoichkov. Vinny has to be somewhere in this category. Looks good. And endgame is pretty straightforward for me. I struggled to move any of those players. When we're looking at the top options, maybe you don't love best the same way, but we can agree to disagree. Also, I've got to run to a doctor's appointment, so this is where we're wrapping up. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to drop some love. Let me know your thoughts, and I have a lot more coming out ASAP.